Hi, I'm Tracey Gordan. I'm the Register of Wills here in Philadelphia, PA.
Assalamu alaikum and good evening to all. Dear family, at this time, could we please stand for prayer, and as we are instructed by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, that we should always open with giving praise to the Supreme Sovereign Lord. In a manner in which you are most comfortable, follow along silently. Surely I am being turned to thee, O Allah, striving to be upright, to he who originated the heavens and the earth, and I am not of the polytheists. Surely my prayer, my sacrifice, my life, and my death are all for Allah, the Lord of the worlds. No associate has he in this am I commanded, and I am of those who submit. O Allah, thou art the King, there is no God but thee. Thou art my Lord, and I am thy servant, and I have been greatly unjust to myself, and I confess my faults. So grant me protection against all my faults, for none grants protection against faults but thee. And guide me into the best of morals, for none can guide into the best of morals but thee. And turn away from me the evil and the indecent morals, for none can turn from me the evil and the indecent morals but thee. And O Allah, make Muhammad successful, and make the true followers of Muhammad successful. Thou did make Abraham and the true followers of Abraham successful, for surely thou art praised and magnified. And O Allah, bless Muhammad, and bless the true followers of Muhammad. That thou didst bless Abraham and the true followers of Abraham, for surely thou art praised and magnified. Amen. You may be seated. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Most Merciful, we give praise and thanks to Allah for his wonderful intervention in our affairs in the person of Master W. Farad Muhammad. We're eternally grateful to him for giving to us a messenger Messiah in the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. And to the two of them, if we lived 1,000 years, we can never thank them for the man that walks among us today, our leader, teacher, guide, and friend in the Honorable Minister-Louis-Farrakhan. It's in their names I greet you all once again with the greeting words of peace. Assalamu alaikum. How you doing? All praise is due to Allah. Dear family, thank you all for submitting to our check procedure. The check procedure is very needed today because we live in a very dangerous and diverse time. And as Jesus says in the scriptures, we should let no man deceive us. And that in these days, that they of a man's own household could be his worst enemies. So thank you for submitting to the check procedure, because we not only want to be safe, but we want you to feel safe and comfortable as well as we get the information that is being imparted to us by our regional minister and to our guests who are going to be our presenters today. So without any further delay, I would like to bring to the rostrum momentarily our brother, the Delaware Valley Student Regional Minister, Rodney Muhammad. We can bring him on with applause.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, we thank Almighty God. We thank him for his truth. We thank him for all of his prophets. We certainly thank him for Abraham and Moses. We thank him for Jesus and Muhammad. And we thank Allah for all of our people who, no matter what family you belong to, we see ourselves as one. We thank Allah for the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, who has made relevant the books of Scripture that we study in the science called religion all over the planet. I think we all can agree that when you're suffering, when you find yourselves socially frustrated, when you find yourselves unable to unite as a people, and you see other social groups able to put together their communities and advance the needle based on their plans, hopes, and aspirations, and you find yourself still on the hamster wheel. Your legs are moving, but it doesn't seem like we're getting anywhere. And we live with the old saying, you know, as things change, sort of like they just remain the same. But it doesn't have to be that way. And so we thank Allah that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was able to show us the value of the Bible. A lot of people don't know that from 1934 until 1960, before there was an official introduction of the Holy Quran, the work that they saw in the Nation of Islam, the cleaning up of us from many of the vices that we were gripped by in the streets of America, the turnaround in our lives. And Many people know from the autobiography of Malcolm X what kind of transformation that can be. These works were done by Mr. Muhammad from a perfect understanding of the Bible, a book that we had with us over 100 years, but we could never get out of it, and we could never get out of ourselves. What Mr. Muhammad was able to do with the Bible, all praise is due to Allah. But we have the Bible and the Holy Quran, and we believe that these books are relevant to help us to see deeper into the root of our problems today, no matter what they are. God didn't start with politics, he started with man. He didn't start with civic organizations and social services, but he started with a family. And there was divine revelation and guidance that helped man. And now, as we stray away from those kind of things, we're relying on government and we're relying on politics. But every elected official I see, they putting their hand on the Bible to be sworn in, but not opening the Bible to see its content, its value, and its guidance for those of us today. We have a special meeting tonight on our Wednesday nights. We like to look at, because God made us social beings, we weren't made to live isolated. We weren't made to live in solitude and be a recluse, but he made us social beings where we interact with others. And because of this, government had to be set up to govern man's relationship with man. And too often that has not been going like it should. And tonight we have to focus on a very important part of our existence, and that's housing. Housing, I think the Bible says something like, foxes have holes, the birds have nests, but the Son of Man has nowhere to lay his head. What's happening? I saw a bird make a nest out in front of the house. I said, well, they sure don't have a housing problem. They don't have to worry about rent or getting evicted. And he stayed there just as long as they wanted, had the young and the eggs hatch, and then they all flew down south somewhere. So I said, my God, what's wrong with us? So we have to get, in this house, we're more concerned with knowledge than we are what your religious label is. Because Jesus said it'd be the truth that would set you free, not necessarily a religion. So we're interested. We don't mind religion as long as we get in the truth. But we are thankful to Almighty God, and I think I should let you know, because it's been announced by the Honorable Minister-Louis-Farrakhan. It's been announced by our Executive Council, and that the Honorable Minister Louis-Farrakhan and the Nation of Islam have filed a lawsuit. We filed a lawsuit against the Anti-Defamation League. We filed a lawsuit against the Simon Wiesenthal Center. The lawsuit is based on being called anti-Semite, being charged with anti-Semitism, and being anti-Semitic. And we are not that. And to paint us as people that hate any people. To hate means that you drink a chalice of poison expecting the other person to die. That's not the way we live. Hate is beneath us, and we are taught that wickedness is the mother of hate. And so we only have enough spiritual gas in our tank to try to undo the evil that's been done to us. If there's any hate in our community, it's self-hatred, and that's what we're trying to undo. And so we're going to make them, the lawsuit is for $4.8 billion, and they are going to have to come to court and prove their charges. You can't call us something and then think we wouldn't call you on it. And so we have a right to do that because too many people have been beaten up. We have a long list of people. Nelson Mandela was called it. Desmond Tutu was called it. Oprah Winfrey was called it. They beat up on too many people, and too many of our artists and too many people have suffered. Their careers have suffered. Their income has suffered. The children of many of these people have suffered, and the career paths of people have been literally cut off, and their lives have been changed because of this ugly charge that they have never been brought to court to have to prove. You cannot prove your case without us bringing up all the history. So we're going to have to go back 6,000 years and beyond. We're going to have to open up all the books. And if you look at the 100-page complaint, there's 787 pages of documents that show what has happened since 1913 with this government and these organizations that are in the lawsuit and what they have done to the black community. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, so that you know, has spent his energy and focus trying to repair the damage that has been done to us as a people. But once he was attacked because he stood up for Reverend Jackson in 1984 when he was running for president. And I was standing right there on the stage and with an honest appeal to say, let's sit down and let's talk, because 100 people were in jail because they tried to harm Reverend Jackson and his family. The government refused to protect Reverend Jackson. You should know this history, you know, because sometimes I used to get out of school, sometimes there'd be a fight in the playground, and somebody's blaming one and the other, but you don't know who started. All you know is two people fighting, and you don't know who started the fight. You know, so you should first try to find out who started the fight. But some people ask me, well, why is Farrakhan fighting? Well, wait a minute. We're never the aggressor. Allah doesn't give you any clause to say except for you can be the aggressor. You can never be the aggressor. And if you are the aggressor, then don't expect God to go with you. However, fight with those that fight with you. So, you know, that's the way the law goes. So he's doing exactly that. When he appealed, because he was concerned, they cut up a dead animal and threw on Jesse Jackson's porch to threaten to do this to him and his family. They did a lot of ugly things to terrify them. They bombed 2 of his campaign headquarters. And they were trying to intimidate him. They even threatened to come after us at the Final Call building on 79th Street in Chicago. But when the minister appealed for reason, and let's sit down intelligently, because he said, if you don't want Reverend Jackson as president, just beat him at the polls. And if you beat him at the polls, we can stand to lose an election. But we can't stand to lose our brother, not like this. And so as a result of that honest appeal, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said to them, they put in their newspaper, Farrakhan is a black Hitler. And it stirred up people to call for his death. And they would be outside of every place he was speaking calling for his death. So we just want you to know that the lawsuit is out there. And if you read the 100-page complaint, you'll see that it's laid out with historical facts. And the best way to shut a liar up is bring the truth. Yeah, just bring the truth, and then that way the whole thing is over. And the man that we are with, he said, you don't have to take my life, I'll give it if I'm found lying. Okay, so that's just a bit of news. I'm looking at a book here called Peter Markowitz, How to Kill a City. How do you kill a city? And what do you do to keep, to take an area that's once vibrant with business, schools, playgrounds, homes for families and everything, and turn it into a wasteland. And it's people gone, and not only is it urban decay, but it's a reflection of the decay in the people. And then once they're gone, you reinvest again. and pretty soon you can never afford to live there again because of the price of the housing. So gentrification is something that we should really be looking at. And I remember reading Dr. Chancellor Williams' book, The Destruction of Black Civilization, how black folks lived in Upper Egypt and got moved out. Anybody ever read that? If you read Stolen Legacy and other books, and once they got moved out, the darker skinned people got moved to the southern part, a lighter breed came into the northern part and took credit for building the pyramids. Right. Now, there's a building in New York collapsed, but I was reading how buildings in Philadelphia have collapsed that have been up for a very long time. And we have a license and inspection department that has to go around to make sure that many of these buildings are structurally sound. But I want you to pay attention to me. The pyramids have been there for nearly 6,000 years, and there's no L&I department over there worried about those things falling. We need to know something about how these things got constructed, because obviously you're working with an inferior science here on this side of the planet, all right? So we have a wonderful meeting set up for you tonight, and just to say a couple of things about my sister, Tracey L. Gordan, the Honorable Tracey L. Gordan. She proved to us you don't need millions of dollars to run a campaign. And with a shoestring budget, she was able to win the office of Register of Wills. And this is just a little old office. I don't know what they were doing over there before she got there. Probably accommodating patronage work, you know, and just a little dumping ground for, you know, my cousin need a job. Throw them over there. I got a nephew, and we're trying to keep him out of trouble. Can y'all hire him? And, well, I'm just telling you the truth. It worked like that in Chicago, too, patronage work. And, you know, in Chicago, Harold Washington cleaned that office up. It's called the Office of Records and Deeds. And the black woman that he put over it, she ultimately became U.S. Senator in Illinois. That was Carol Moseley Braun. And, yeah, but she was our Register of Wills person in Chicago. But once Tracey got there, within 100 days, all kind of alert signals start coming out of that office. And I met Mr. Donatucci, God bless him, but you know, everything was just moving along, and it was like nobody cared about this office. But when the thing about entangled titles came up, a lot of people could start relating to this. And she has to tell you more about how it's working, but I'm almost certain it's not going to be anybody in this room that's not going to see a personal situation when she starts laying out what's been going on in this city. And one of the reasons that she's here tonight, one of the main reasons that she's here tonight, and New Year's Eve is Christmas Eve is almost here, is that once she's not there after January 2nd of 2024, they're going to hit the mute button on this office. And you might not never hear from this office again. So I want you to hear from her tonight. So I want you to put your hands together for the Register of Wills of the City of Philadelphia, our own, the Honorable Tracey L. Gordan.
Shukran. Assalamu alaikum. I'm happy to say that you all elected the first woman and first black Register of Wills, and also I have the title of Clerk of Orphans Court as well in the history of Philadelphia. And this office has been in existence since the mid-1600s when the Quakers came over from England because they was escaping religious persecution. And when they came over, they started divvying up the land, and they created a government and a constitution that protected the land that they divvied off. And I want to explain to you all And you don't have to take notes because everything is in these packages that I gave you. But I hope that you all go back and teach your families. And each one teach one. And like he said, I also provided in this packages my term report, because I believe we need to have a report card on all these elected officials, because remember, you pay our salaries, your tax dollars, so you're my boss, you're their boss. They're not your boss. They're not there to be worshiped, they're there to work, and they're supposed to work in your behalf. And this term report, which is 4 years of what I've done, it will show you why they wanted this office back. They're going to show you how much money this office is worth, how much money runs through this office, and how important this office is, and why they wanted me out of this office. But it's an election every year, so we'll see. So first thing I want you all to know that we are a state agency under the 1st Judicial District of Pennsylvania. It's like a quasi-judicial office. Actually, when I preside over citation hearings, I'm considered a judge. So our mission is to preside over the protection of your generational wealth. These are the things that I do. As your registrar of wills, I'm the one that validates the wills. In other words, when somebody dies with a will, I'm the one that sign off of whether or not it's going to be accepted as authentic. And even if you don't have a will, you still have to come to me, because there is no automatic transfer of wealth. You don't automatically inherit stuff. This paperwork, legal paperwork that has to be done. I don't care if you're the only child. I don't care if you're the only descendant of that person. In order for you to get access to those assets that's in the name of the deceased person, you have to come to our office and get the paperwork. We also collect inheritance and estate taxes. Last year, we sent $107 million to the state of Harrisburg. There's 67 counties in this state. Philadelphia is considered first class. We have the most population. We send the most money to Harrisburg every year between us and Montgomery County. Prior to me coming, they were sending between $60 and $70 million a year. Since I've been there, it's increased by 37%. So the last 107 million, the year before that, 107 million, and even during the pandemic, because when I took office, 3 weeks later, the pandemic shut the whole country down, the whole world down. Within 3 weeks, I had the office back open and was doing things virtually. The only one in the country that was performing marriages virtually by way of Quaker marriage, and I'll get into that. And I was the only one that was issuing, allowing for citation hearings, because if you don't have a will, you have to come up in front of me to be able to be the administrator. And I felt that if I didn't do something, they was gonna say, see, she's not a lawyer. She don't know what she's doing. So we figured out within 3 weeks. I was the only office in the city of Philadelphia that was open virtually. I was the first office that was outfitted with plexiglass to protect my staff. And I was the only office in the country, and that's in the New York Times, you'll see that in my report, that was marrying people by way of a Quaker marriage. A Quaker marriage is when two people unite and they don't have to have a minister. They self-unite. All they need is 2 witnesses. There are only about 4 states that do that, and Pennsylvania was one of them. That's why I was able to marry people. I always document your stuff. Everything you do, make sure you document. Toot your horn, okay? Because people ain't gonna toot your horn, you know, especially black women. Toot your horn. If you invented something, toot toot, I invented it, okay? That's why this is here. So nobody can come behind me and say they did all these things. We probate estates. Probate means to prove a will. That means when you come in with the official will, and I'm gonna tell you how to do your own will, teach you how to write your own will until you can get to an attorney. I also assign executive privileges. In other words, when somebody dies without a will, then I have to assign a administrator. In other words, when you make a will, you assign the person that is going to conduct your business because you're dead and you can't do it. It's certain things that has to be done once you die, and you're the one that picks that person, and I'll tell you the difference. So I also have the authority to assign executive privileges, so I can pick between your family member and say, okay, you're going to be the one that's going to take care of the business. I also issue short certificates. You'll often hear that. Short certificates, that's the legal paper with my signature that will allow you to go to the mortgage company and say, talk to me. I want to take over the mortgage. Without the short certificate, they're going to say, I only can talk to the owner. They can't talk to the owner because the owner is dead. When you go to the title company, which, by the way, 2 different offices. The Register of Wills office is an elected office every 4 years, and that's the office where you get the legal paperwork. The Recorder of Deeds, a separate office. That's an appointed office. That's where you take the short certificate and say, here, my mother died, now put the property in my name. So you come to my office and get the short certificate. I also preserve and protect records and archives. By law, I have to preserve all wills from the 1600s and all marriage records that we have date back to the 1850s into perpetuity. They can never be destroyed. So I'm the first register that took the time to hire a company that's not only going to preserve old archives, but they're also going to digitize. So you'll be able to have access to those records. I have the original will of William Penn, Benjamin Franklin, all his family. William Still, who was an abolitionist, he's the one that funded, he was a rich freeman, millionaire. He's the one that gave Harriet Tubman the money to get back and forth from Maryland to Cape May to Philly. Stephen A. Smith, free millionaire. He owned a lumber company. He also owned a railroad that took passengers from Philadelphia, Cape May to Philadelphia. And so many people think the Underground Railroad was not necessarily a real railroad. Yes, it was. He would hide them in his railroad. He has a house in Cape May, New Jersey, that's directly across the street from the Harriet Tubman Museum, still in the same state. They just made it a national treasure. You all should go to Cape May, New Jersey, and visit the Harriet Tubman Museum. Stephen A. Smith was a millionaire. I have his original will that he handwritten. I just preserved it. By the way, James Fortune, I have his original will. He fought in the Revolutionary War. You'll hear him talk when you go visit the Liberty Bell right across the street from the Liberty Bell, the Constitution Center. When they talk about James Fortune, he was the 3rd richest man, not black man in Philadelphia. They just had an exhibit. They closed it down. I hope you all got a chance to see it. I have his original will that I have to preserve into perpetuity. When you look at these original wills like Stephen Girard, you'll see slaves listed, and they'll say, boy 11. They would never give them the name. Girl, mulatto, which means she was mixed. Indentured servants. That's our history. That's American history. That's history that we can actually go back and look and see, you know, who owned property. Those records is our case for reparations. In addition to wills and estates, I have the records of marriage records to the 1850s. So I have Frank Sinatra married Ava Gardner here. Sammy Davis Jr. married his 4th wife here. Thurgood Marshall married his 1st wife here. I have their original marriage certificate. So if your mother was married in Philly, I have it. If your grandmother, if your great-grandmother, or anybody in the family goes back to the 1850s, you can trace your genealogy. Because back then, marriage licenses had to have the name of the father and mother and the addresses where they were born. So I thought my great-grandmother came from Florida, fled from Florida, and came here, but really she was from South Carolina. So now I'm finding a little bit of the history. Don't ever forget this. They was not fleeing down south because of the whistling at the white woman. They was fleeing because they was taking land. They was killing them for their land. And this was all that, when you look up wills, you can actually see what your family owned. Now, most black people all own property and live down by the water, by the docks. All on South Street was all black owned. and then all of a sudden the highways and stuff start getting built, and that's how we got this place. I set public policy, and I'll tell you about that. So I'm also the clerk of Orphans Court, and that's where I issue and validate marriage licenses. And by the way, common law marriage was abolished in January 2nd of 2005. So anywhere after that, you are not legally married. You know, that's your boo. It'll be your boo. It won't be your legal. It won't be your legal husband or wife, which means you will not pass go. You will not be able to legally inherit anything. Now, prior to January 2nd of 2005, I have approved common law marriage, but it's hard to prove. You got to bring your minister. In the case I remember, there's a Muslim sister. She was with this Muslim man for years. Soon as he died, the brothers and sisters from Ohio came and was like, they not married, get out. You know, and she had a nice property in University City in the lot, okay? Wow. So I listened to her, and I told them to Google the property. And I said, let me see a picture of the property. And they pulled the property up, and the property was beautiful in the garden. I'm like, that's wifey, she that's her garden. But anyway, she came, she had the Muslim imam. He testified that they presented themselves as husband and wife when they came to the mosque and all that. But hey, that was my decision. That's why it's always important of who you elect. Because I could have made another decision like, nah, they wasn't really married, and then she would have lost everything. But nonetheless, don't forget, even though without the will, trust me, your family know you're not married, and they're going to come for their nothing. Because if you don't make a will, there's two wills. There's one you make, and there's one the state make. And it's called intestacy, and it favors biology. So it goes husband and wife, then it goes down to the children, right? So if there's no children, then it will go to the parents and all the way down to the cousin. That's why you got billions and billions and billions of dollars and unclaimed money sitting up in Harrisburg, because somebody didn't leave a will, and somebody didn't, their family don't know how to get access to it. Wow. Okay? And that's why you got all of them houses and land banks, because somebody didn't make a will. And now all of a sudden, the city is taking those houses. They tore all them houses, devastated North and South Philly. South Philly is done already. North Philly, now they coming for West Philly, Germantown, because somebody didn't make a will. That's how you protect your generational wealth. Also, accept the records I told you, and I accept filings for orphans court. So the decision I make, you can appeal it at my office, and then it goes to the orphan court judges. So my decision is final unless you want to appeal it. And since I've been in office, none of my decisions have been overturned. Go ahead. Wills. A will is a document that you write during your lifetime that distributes your assets upon your death. A will is a gift that comes into fruition when you die, okay? You don't automatically, just because that's your mother, if you don't want to leave your kids, your house, your car, your stamp collection, your collection of books, your jewelry, your shoes, your garbs, that's all your possessions. So people, when they hear estate, they think you got to be Puff Daddy in them. No, your estate is anything you own, anything you cherish. You know, your old photographs. I mean, we have everything in the camera now, but it's, you know, your mother and grandmother had those old photographs. You go over our house. Those are archives. Those are worth and can be worth a lot of money. That's your family history. So if you have those archives, if you know that one child of yours is always moving and always indifferent, then you may not want to leave them that stuff. And you do not want to leave your family fighting. A will states that this is my last will and testament. It transfers the testator's interest to the beneficiaries. It names the executor. And also remember, it's not just material things. You're minor. If you have minor children, you need to make the will just in case something happens, and you're going to make sure you're going to assign who is going to take care of your kids, or the state is going to go by the next of kin, and that might not be the family member that you want to raise your kids. Also, if you have a disabled child, you want to make a will just in case, because more than likely they're going to outlive you, and you want to make sure you leave them in a position that they were in when you were raising them. Because a lot of times family members will raise your kids when they see that big Social Security check. And you always say they may abuse your kids, you know? So I just want to tell you that there's 8 components of a will, okay? Now, do we have the 8 components of will in these packages, guys? Okay. Take this out. I want y'all to see this. This page right here. This one. The 8 components of a will. I'm going to teach you how to make your own will, okay? But it's best practice. You always talk to an attorney because it's different circumstances. You may have an ex-wife. You may have kids outside the marriage. You may, you know, but this is a basic holographic will that you can make on your own, okay? I'm not going to go in necessarily in this order, but everything on here, if you write a will and it has everything, it will be a bulletproof will. The first thing you want to do on your will is date it. Is that mandatory? No. In the state of Pennsylvania, it's not mandatory to have a date. It's a best practice. Example, Aretha Franklin left with 2 wills, remember? They had the one will that the lawyers had, and then they had the one will that she stuck in her couch. That's the will that was upheld, that latter will. Aretha knew what she was doing. She just didn't do it, you know, I mean, she might ain't trust nobody. She changed her mind. She might ain't want to tell nobody, but she made sure she put the date on it. So that's the first thing you should put on a will. Also, a will has to have, this is my last will and testament. It has to say it. If it don't say it, then that disqualifies your will. This is my last will and testament. And it also has to state, and I am of sound mind, and I'm not under any undue influence. In other words, nobody don't have a gun to your head. I don't care if I'm in the hospital. I don't care if I got 10 days to live. I am of sound mind, and I'm not under any undue influence. Nobody is making me do this. The date. This is my last will and testament. I am of sound mind. I am not under any undue influence. I believe that this is the most important component, although they all are. You name who is going to be your executor or executrix if it's a woman. If it's a man, he's your executor. If it's a woman, it's executrix. That's the person that you're leaving in charge to take care and handle all your business, because you can't handle your business because you're dead. That's the person who you're going to tell where your original will is. That's the person that, in best practice, you should give them a copy or make 2 copies just in case that original will disappears, because people always come in my courtroom and saying, I know Mom, I know Umi had a will, Abu had a will, and we couldn't find it because somebody got to the house before you got there and looked in there and seen that they wasn't on that will and was like, tore it up. So that's no will. There's no such thing as a verbal will. Grandma left me the house. Okay, that's not a will. If your grandmother want to leave you the house, Grandma, I don't feel like fighting them, put it in writing. If you want to leave your child, it's no writing, it's no digital. We're not doing video. Video wills are not acceptable. Only one was acceptable, and that was during COVID. And it was one digital will that was accepted in the state of Pennsylvania. But right now, it is not a form of a will that will be acceptable. The executor should be somebody that you trust. Somebody is about the business. Somebody that's going to do everything. And you can even say you can take 10% of everything after all the taxes. Now, the executor or executrix, it may not be the older child, because that's the messy child. It may be the younger child, because that's the child that's about business. It may not be none of your children. It may be your aunt. It may be your attorney. It may be your minister, okay? But you naming somebody responsible who that's your executor. Then you should name an alternative, just in case they can't find the executor that you named, or that executor is like Aretha Franklin's niece who was left as an executrix, and once them boys start harassing her, she said, I quit. Her niece was left as an executrix in that first will, and she was like, I quit, because they was telling her, she doing this and that. She ain't want to have nothing to do with it. So in the will, it should have named, if you name an alternative, because sometimes you may not even want to deal with it. They can't find your executrix. You know what I mean? So you must make sure you let them know. Don't let them be surprised. People come and say, oh, my aunt left me the executrix, and she didn't even tell me. Wow. I mean, you want to tell them. You want to say, hey, you don't have to tell them what you're leaving in there. It could be one of your kids. You could say, I'm naming you the executor, and that's why I gave you all these packages, because this package is going to tell them everything they need to bring. You do not want your family going to the funeral director or going to Minister Rodney or going to your block captain. Take care of your business. When you buy a car, you get what kind of insurance? Automobile insurance. You protecting your liability, right? When you buy a house, right? What they tell you, get that HOA plan to protect your liability, right? You life insurance. You don't want to do the GoFundMe, okay? I mean, I know this favor, but GoFundMe, just go ahead and pay that $20 a month or something, so you can die in dignity without your family have to do the GoFundMe and all that kind of stuff. You don't want to have to do the GoFundMe, So your will is your insurance to protect your generational wealth. You don't want your kids, you want them to mourn you or whoever you're going to leave it to. And if you don't want to leave it to nobody, leave it to the church. Do you know most of the Catholic Church, not much of it, they inherited from their parishioners who would leave them in their will. They would leave them the house and stuff. That's how they end up owning a lot of stuff. They love their church so much. And I always say, hey, you can leave your minister of church 15% or 10% of the accumulation of your will. There's nothing wrong with that. But just don't just leave it abandoned. Don't leave it to nobody. Because you can say, look, I don't. My kids don't even speak to me. Then leave it to your church. They can use it. Maybe they'll use it for single sisters or people that's in abusive relationship. I'm just saying, don't let it go to the state. So number 4. So it should be clear who's going to inherit your stuff. You can't say the house goes to my children. Say the house goes to my children. Name the children you wanted to go to. Okay, if James Harris is the junior, say junior, because if the third or the senior is alive, they could say that she was leaving it to me. You got to be precise. Wow. This goes to so-and-so, my child, my daughter, Melissa Muhammad. You got to say who it is. It has to be clear. It has to be clear who your stuff is going to. And then at the end, that's when you sign your name. That is a holographic will. I have approved many of them, but that one can be contested. Why? People always say, do I need witnesses? No, not in the state of Pennsylvania, but it's a best practice. 2 witnesses. Then they say, do I need to get it notarized? No, it doesn't have to be notarized, but it's a best practice. Because when you get the 2 witnesses after your signature and the notary, that's called a self-proven affidavit. That's bulletproof. That means the witnesses don't have to come up to the register will. The only person have to come up to the register will is that one you named as your executor and your executrix. They come in our office with the will. The will is proven. You get the short certificates. They go to the bank. They can collect the money. They can go to the mortgage company. They can do the negotiation. They can go to your stocks and bonds. They can take care of your stocks and bonds. They can get to distribute, if you want, mom said the jewelry go to so-and-so. And let me just tell you this. This power of attorney, it ends when you die. So if Big Sis is mom's power of attorney, and after mom dies, she's still acting like the power of attorney, against the law. Once you die, your power of attorney cease at that moment of last breath. And the person that would supersede the power of attorney is who? I've been telling y'all this. Who would supersede the power of attorney? Bingo, the executor. Now, the power of attorney could be the executor, because that you might have named them your power of attorney and your executor. Also, there are legal agencies based on how much your income is that will do it for free. So you want to name a power of attorney. You want to get a living will and you want to get a will. The difference between a living will and a will is just that. That living will is a directive. If I happen to get in an accident, don't resuscitate me. That's in a living will. That goes to your doctor. And then the will is when you die. So legal agencies, I give in this page, some of them seniors automatically get free wills, free living wills, and free power of attorney at the Senior Law Center. Okay? So, Dave, this is my last will and testament. I am of sound mind, and nobody don't have no gun to my head. You don't have to say that, but you can say I'm not under any undue influence. I'm naming my executor. I'm naming the alternative executor. I'm listing my things, and I'm signing my name. If you forget to list something, do not put it under your name, because if you put it under your name, then it has to go into inventory. So everything has to be above the signature. Then you're going to get the 2 witnesses and a notary. That's called a self-proven affidavit. That's bulletproof. And even if somebody come contested, I'm going to look at it like, oh, that's a signature. And, oh, there's 2 witnesses. Oh, and the notary ain't expired. Reject. Next. This is your will. This is what I've been going around telling us, because we have not learned how to take business. This is not no superstition. Listen, by the way, Jehovah's Witnesses, in the case of Prince, they don't believe in making wills. The state don't care. Because didn't I just tell you it's 2 wills, the one you make or the one the state make? That's why Prince's estate was such a mess. That's why when PBNC, the rapper, how you got all these attorneys around you and you don't make a will? Most rappers, most of them don't have, all of them. Chadwick Boseman, he was on his dying bed. He knew he was going to die 2 years before he died. He died in intestate, which meant he might have did it on purpose. He was married, which meant she only get 33 1/3. And by the way, women and men, if you're still married, you can't write your spouse out the will. You can't say, I'm not leaving that no good. I'm married to him. I ain't leaving that no good son. Don't give him nothing. If you're still married to him or her, they going to get 33 1/3 from the get. Only time they don't get it is a divorce. So don't go for the 52 fake out like, I'm divorced from her. Prove it, buddy. Okay? Because, it's no common law no more. If you want me to have something, you don't want to get married, then put it in writing. Okay? I know you don't want to get married to me, but I'm not going to sit up here taking care of you, helping you pay half these bills and all this kind of stuff. And then, I ain't trying to start no trouble, y'all. But I'm so glad I got my own house. No. No, I mean, all jokes aside, let me tell you, I see some tears coming in me. That woman be like, or sometimes even the men, I was with her for years. She was still married, and the husband be like, yep. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, you're out of here. They will throw you out. You cannot get custody of their body. You cannot make no decisions over their body. The funeral people will not talk to you if you're not legally married. You will not pass go. You're going to get out their house, and if they nice, they may let you collect your belongings. You're only a renter or a squatter. So put a ring on it. All right. So I want to tell you a little bit about probate, because let me just tell you what I believe. Reason why they wanted me out of there. It's about the land, stupid. But anyway, Philadelphia has the highest amount of blacks that own property in the country. The problem or the thing with that is most of us are poor. You know what I mean? It's not the land, because I'm going to tell y'all, I want y'all to read this study. I'm going to show y'all how to go and read this studies from the Pew Charitable Trust about these tangled titles, because I think it's conspiracy. They've been very aggressive. They call Philadelphia the 6th borough of New York. because all the developers are coming down here and all this kind of stuff. You see it. I drove there in North Philly. I was like, every 2 blocks, I had to detour because I see all these cranes and everything. They coming for your land. And if you don't have legal, title, then they can. I'm telling you right now, when these elected officials, I call them politicians, when they come and talk to you and ask you for their vote and all that, you need to ask them about. And that affordable housing, that's a what you call it? It's no such thing. The affordable house is the one your family owns. The affordable house is one your family owns. If you live with grandma, help her fix the house up. Is she going to leave it to you? Because even if you want to sell it and don't want to live in Philly no more, like a lot of people, at least you want to get the market value. Because they're trying to play us. They're trying to play you all. So probate, that's the legal process in which a will is reviewed by my office to determine whether or not it's valid or authentic. So if those 8 components is not there, well, 3 of them don't have to, because remember I said you don't have to have 2 witnesses, but it's a best practice. I said you don't have to have a date, but it's a best practice. And I said you don't have to have a notary, but it's a best practice. Then that makes self-proof affidavit. That makes it bulletproof. So that's the first step of the legal process of administering this estate. So when you die, that make sure you have this stuff in the package. Make sure you just let your executor know, here's the process, so they won't be, they need to know. They need to walk in the office like this. Give me my short certificate. Not, what do I do? My mother died. No, they need to already be, this is authentic will. I just thank you for the paperwork, and then you go. Listen, the banks is in on this too. Because if you have less than $10,000 in the bank, you do not need a short certificate. All you have to do is show proof that you are the next of kin, like the daughter, the husband, wife, the next of kin, the funeral bill, and the death certificate. And they have to release the money. If it's $9,999, if it's over $10,000, and if they tell you that, and it's less than $10,000, call the Register of Wills office you can get the law. But I think they keep it that money so they get interest on it, or maybe they don't know. But why not? Why don't you know? Why are you turning families away? A lot of us don't have that $10,000. And also, let me just tell you about the beneficiaries that's in those retirement packages. If you got remarried, you might have to go back and call the city or the state and say, hey, take my old wife off and put my new wife on there, or my kids, or whatever. It's different. That insurance and beneficiaries don't go in the will because you already named it. That's the first step. It's called probate. Always, that means to prove a will. Okay? Now, what probate can do is, when you probate the property and get the title out of your name, then you can get homeowner's insurance. If you don't own the property and you're still living in my mom's house, you can't get homeowner's insurance because you don't own it. So that means it's a liability. So if somebody slip and fall, surely they're going to put a lien on your property. So, but before you even get able to get the title, you're going to have to pay that out. That's why you need homeowners insurance. You can't even enter into payment plans for utilities and sewage because you don't own the property. You can't get grants. And this is the thing this is one of my last things I'm going to do. I'm going to let y'all know. I think as against Civil Rights Acts 1964 and 1968, I have somebody doing some research for me to deny people grant money to help them fix the infrastructure of the house just because of the technicality that their name is not on it and they can prove that this is their family home. So to tell them they can't get their taxes, and here's why. I used to say you couldn't get FEMA, federal emergency funds, when it's an emergency. Them advocates up in Puerto Rico, because every year the rules get blown off in Puerto Rico. Most people in Puerto Rico don't own title, but these are family homes that passed down. They fought the government, and now the government lessened the requirement, so it's saying all you got to do is prove that you paid the utilities 2 months, or you prove that you lived there, and they give you the emergency funds. So I've been calling, and I wrote to the governor. Shapiro, since he liked fixing things, I wrote to the U.S. State Senator, and I told them that they need to look into what I think is illegal for the city not to release basic system repair, basic water, electrical work, because to me, not only that's a humanity thing, but it's a safety issue because we live in row home. If you live next door to a Tangle Title, if their house burned down, they don't have the money to fix it up, which is going to affect your house and affect your house property value, because now you're going to have an unsafe abandoned home next to you. And if they have to tear it down, it's going to mess the infrastructure of your house because they were built together, you know? And so you can't sell the property. You can't get a mortgage. You can't even work with the bank. Because when you go to the bank, you're going to say, hey, this is my mom's house. I want to negotiate now. You could continue sending the payments, and they're going to cash those checks. But you won't own the property. And they will not even talk to you unless you bring the short certificate. That's why you got to take care of your business so your family won't be in a hot mess. And they won't be all, they already mourning you. They already feel, because let me just tell you another thing why I think it's a conspiracy, because I could talk now. I only got about 8 days left, so, sue me after I leave, okay? I always try to be a little diplomatic while I was in there, but I'm just telling you, I think it was, the lawyers, because they make it all difficult, so then you would have to come and pay money to the lawyer. As soon as you say lawyer, it's like, oh, I can't afford no lawyer. I gotta eat. This $500, I can't pay for no lawyer. I gotta pay my bills. You know what I mean? So that's why I gave y'all this thing, because this legal aid, they supposed to be helping you. And as you say, Tracey Gordan told you to call, because sometimes they be getting funny too. But okay, so probate. These are the documents that you're going to need. So inside the will, make sure. And it was a page in here. Is that page still in? Yep, this page. So your will, just staple this to your will, so they'll already know that they gotta wait for this death certificate. You ain't gonna have that, but they get valid ID, proving that they're the administrator or executive. The estimate value of the assets, estimate value. Don't be like, my pants, $9.99. This estimated. And the value of the house. Somebody came in I'm supposed to give legal advice, but the value that the BRT says, not the market value. The BRT probably say the house is worth now $80,000. Don't go in there and say, yeah, it's worth $300,000, because you can get $300,000 because that's what you're going to get taxed. Say what it's worth on the BRT, because that's what we go by. And then there's a probate fee. And that's like $300 to $400. Please leave the money, please make sure they had the money for the probate fees, because maybe your family don't have the money for the probate fees or something like that. But if you have it in a bank account, you can put in, somewhere in there that the probate fees, because even if you put up the probate fees, right, you get it back once you liquidate the asset. Those are the things you need. So we put that in there too. And then they may ask you for that. So please have a copy of your marriage license. Definitely have your divorce decree. Because somebody come like, no, we was married. And be like, no, you wasn't. My mom divorced you. Okay, here it is right here. Okay. Renunciations. That word right there, that's what gets everybody. And it got me. And I'm trying to get the state to change that. So when you don't leave a will, I told you already that the state already made the will, and it goes by intestacy. But in order for the person to move forward, be able to get the short certificate, the legal paperwork to get the assets, somebody has to be assigned to be the administrator. The executor is who you name. Guess who names who the administrator is? Me. Or who's coming in next to me, but the register, right? So imagine how that goes, right? So your sister or your brother or maybe the wife or the husband wants to be the administrator over the state, but there's no will. right? So if you leave no will, right, that spouse is only get 33 and a third. So the other next of kin, maybe the kids, they have to divvy up the rest with you, right? That's why you got to put it in the will. If you want your wife to get everything, you got to put it in there. That's why husband and wife, they can both make wills. So when they come up in front of me, they be bad. My sister shouldn't be. Look, she just got out of jail. She never talked to mom. Look, and my brother, he been on drugs since 19. Here's pictures of him purchasing drugs. I have to hear everything. And then I got to decide which one is going to be the administrator. If they fighting so much, then I have to reassign it to an outside attorney, which is going to cost your estate money, right? But, since I've been in office, I figured it out. I figured out that they were not fighting each other because they hated each other. They were fighting each other because they didn't understand what renunciation means. So when Big Sis comes up to you and say, here, sign this renunciation so I can, it's not signing over your portion of the inheritance. It's signing over your right to name her to be the administrator because your mother and father didn't leave an executor. So she just wants to be the administrator so she can get all the paperwork and the necessary stuff. So, thank you. I appreciate it. Yep. So, I figured it out. I started asking questions because remember I told you when they shut this country down? Well, we started having video Zoom hearings. So I made sure I said, I need a role, because they ain't want to say, I was a judge. I'm like, get me a judge role so they'll know who the boss is in this thing. You know what I mean? So they got me. So like, he never, I don't care. I'm a judge. Get me a robe so they'll know, right? So anyway, put some respect on my so anyway, so now, right, everybody can be at the hearing. Sis from South Carolina could be on there because she got a phone and a Zoom. Brother from Africa could be on there because he got a phone. And even grandma could be on there, even though she don't know how to use the Zoom. I'm like, Grandma, you got to turn on your light. Oh, I got it. So it'd be like the little granddaughter, like 7. Grandma, you got to put your head. But anyway, that was one of the best things that happened because before you would have to come down physically, which means time and money. So now they all will be on Zoom. And I said, okay, so one of them will have her attorney, right? The messy sister, or it's one of them, or maybe even a sneaky one, or whatever like that. And then the other ones will be like, no, I don't want her, because she no, I can't deal with her. She's not telling us anything like that. So I'll say, okay, I'll let everybody speak. So and they'll speak, and I'll say, okay, next. And I'll and I have a solicitor who's a lawyer who's advised me. He said he's been practicing 34 years and never in the history of being in front of Register of Wills throughout Delaware and Jersey have he ever seen somebody conduct a hearing the way I do, because I don't come from a legal standpoint. I come from an emotional standpoint. You know what I mean? And I know how we are, because it's not that you don't like your sister or you don't trust your sister, but renunciation sounds like I'm giving up my rights. Reject, renege, renounce. That's what renunciation sounds like. So we're trying to get the state to change that. So once you start listening to them, it's not that they don't trust the sister. They don't understand the process. So I was like, here's what. Mom didn't leave a will. Normally, if she would have left a will, she would have named who was going to take care of the business, okay? So now I have to pick. Your sister hired an attorney. That attorney don't just represent you, he represents the estate, okay? So that means that he's not going to risk his law practice and stuff to, you know, foolery, right? He's representing all y'all, okay? So that sis, whatever you want to call her, sneaky or not, she had the money to put it up to get the attorney. But I look over the attorney, right? I say, so either y'all want to hire your own attorney, okay? Or y'all want me to reassign what's going to cost the state money. Or I say to the attorney, you're going to get their phone numbers and they can get your number. You're going to let them know everything? And sure, all right. Guess what they all say? Okay, you could be an attorney. Because they understand it. That's why I haven't reassigned them. Because, listen, when you reassign them, you know why they want to reassign them. Because maybe they buddies is low, you know what I mean? And that costs your estate money. So I'm saying, make the will. Because the will is going to protect your family from having to hire all these attorneys because it's all verified in there. Tangled titles. They always say, oh yeah, she the tangled title. No. I am the tangled title queen, okay? But what I do is teach you about estate planning. It's just so happened that we are in a crisis here in Philadelphia and across the country because down south it calls heir property. We call them tangled titles here in Philadelphia. It's called heirs property. And I want y'all to look at this movie, this documentary, and hopefully you can show it here. When you see this documentary, Silver Dollar Road, look at that documentary, and you're gonna Silver Dollar Road is on Netflix, so it's on Prime. Yes. In short, it shows you how they had all this prime land, which included a beachfront, black folks. The great-great-grandfather purchased it. He was a freed slave. He purchased the land. He lost the land, and then his son went to the courthouse and bought the land, right, off the sheriff's office. Nobody cared about it. They had their own beach, because remember, beaches were segregated. They built a house and all that kind of stuff. They had a club. Everybody was coming. It was beautiful, right? Heirs property. He died with 13 kids without a will. So it's called heirs property. One of the relatives sold his portion, and guess what portion of the land? I'll leave it there. Y'all got to see this. Y'all got to see this. And then the second one I want y'all to see is on, what's the other one? The one that just came out with Martin Scorsese just did. Y'all got to see that. This is about the land. It's about the land. So a tangled title is a property title that hasn't been updated to reflect new ownership. In other words, that property that you live in that you think you own is in grandma's name, is in grandpa's name, is in aunt's name, is in uncle's name, is in your mother's name, is in your father's name. You don't own it. You're a squatter. You can't sell it. You can't pass it down to your children. You can't get homeowners insurance. You can't get the basic system repair. And then you don't have to be dirt poor to qualify for that. It's at times when I needed it, that's how I got that $5,000 furnace in my house. No shame in my game. I ain't always had money. You know what I mean? But I had ownership to my property, and that means I got access to it. This is why property owner dies without leaving a will. A property owner dies and leaves a will that names a new owner. A fraudulent deed. That's how Philly is, the hot deed thing. They steal in deeds, and then they sell it, and then they go back to their country. And the United States can't even get them. Rent-to-own agreement goes wrong. Property is abandoned. Then all of a sudden it's in a land bank, and the only person that qualifies and gets it is the developers, not none of us. And the title change is not properly recorded. If you want to do anything with your title, please go to a title company, because one mistake, you can mess it up and then you won't own the property no more. Go to a professional. Wow. These is the reason why you need to remedy titles, tangled title. You want get property access to the equity. We got 11,000 from the Pew Charitable Trust, 11,000 tangled titles in this city. Guess what areas they in, guys? North Philly, West Philly, Southwest Philly, what's left of the black land in South Philly. Germantown is inundated with it in lower Northeast to the tune of $1.1 billion. That's why we are the poorest, largest city. When they come and keep telling us that, I'm like, I'm tired of hearing that poorest, largest city. Every election, we're the poor, and solve it. Yeah. They can solve it if they, and listen, by the stroke of a pen, they can solve this Tangle Title problem. And if you know anybody, I have a program, get them to me, get them to the minister. I can help you. I started a program, Tatiana. Oh, go back real quick. Remember I told you? Look, 1700, Upper North. It's all North Philly, West Philly. $1.1 billion worth of dead capital. You don't own the property. You can't get no equity out of the property that your grandmother worked hard for, your mother worked hard for. That's the Tangle Title map. All the dark areas. Guess where it ain't? Now there is one Tangle Title, one Center City. You know, the richer you are and the more educated, the more likely you're going to have a will. That's it. Let's go to the next one. That's what I wanted to show y'all. I didn't get a chance to make the other one, but I'll tell you about it. Rebecca Reinhardt, when she was the city controller, she put out a map. Gunshot shooting victims 2021 by zip code. 4-3, West and Southwest. 3-9, West Philly. 3-2, North Philly. 3-4, I think that's North Philly. Look, all red. If you put those together, now they just put one out from the Inquirer. They put a map by income disparity. Looks the same. I just requested that the water department give me the map of the shut-offs. Same zip codes.
Yeah.
This ain't me making enough stuff up. It ain't no conspiracy. This real. This real. When they come here to talk to you and ask them what they're doing about these Tangle Titles, we're going to lose our land. You can't rent. You know how much rent is now? The affordable house is the one your family owns. Oh, let's go.
That's right.
You can go to the next one. All right. I started the program. It's called the Probate Deferment Initiative. It's the only program in the country. I was told this by a professor out of Harvard University, and said that Philadelphia was the only one that came up with a program to help people get out of these Tangle Titles. And I'm telling you, whoever's coming after me, this is funded. Make sure they keep it. It enables individuals who cannot afford to pay the probate fee an opportunity to open an estate. I give them the short certificate without having to pay it. We just put a lien, and when you get the $300 or $400, you can pay it. As long as your family stay in the house, we won't come after it. Then I partner with the recorder deeds. Remember I told you there's a certain different office where you got to change the deed? He's waiving it. And then the most money it costs, it takes attorneys, because it's layers and layers and layers of families. So say, for instance, mom died and there's 4 kids. 1, 2, 3, 4 kids. 2 died. If they have children, their children gets their portion. And then sometimes it's 2 kids, that one might die, then that's why it's called a Tangle Title. And they was making people open up all those intermediary estates. And I stopped it, but I don't know if it's going to start back. Because I said you should only have to open up the estate of the original owner, not all these other intermediary estates. However, when you do open it, you do got to give them their portion. Okay? So probate fees, we defer them, and it's fair. Because you got to move the property. You know, it says sometimes, listen, you know, you can negotiate with your family. If your sister been living here, say, listen, we want to get it out our name. I mean, this is just hypothetical. Well, you know, we'll put your name on the deed. So if something happens, you know, like, don't lose the property. Don't lose it. Free legal advice. We get with the application, we refer you to free legal advice. And then the deed waiver, that's normally $275. That's waived. That means it's free. And that comes from my probate deferment initiative, and it's in that packet right there. Thank you. This is how you qualify for it. If you receive Social Security, SNAP, anything. Just go in there and at least talk to them. Talk to them, because listen, a lot of times you don't need, like I train my staff, and I hope it stays like that. You know, I train my staff to just listen to people. I train my staff to just listen to people. Because sometimes they just show you how to do it, and you don't have to if you get the cooperation of your family. Negotiate. Why are you just going to lose the property? This house says, okay, says, listen, I'm signing. You can get, but I want my name on that deed. So if something happens to you, then my kids get it. You know what I mean? And you can stay in there and pay rent or whatever. But just to let the property just go, that's the number. And I'm going to send the minister this whole PowerPoint. He'll get the whole PowerPoint. But that's the number you call. That's the number you call if you want the probate deferment initiative. He's going to have this PowerPoint. And I'm going to send him, although it's going to be a new register, and this beautiful picture might not be on the literature no more. I'm sending him this literature. You know what I mean? The numbers. Yes, you're right. Show what I'm there. Yes. Oh, yeah, that's right. Oh, yeah, let me tell y'all about that. Let's see where we at now. Okay, I just want to talk about the term report, and then I'm going to wrap it up, because I know y'all want to get home. Yeah. So this term report, right? So they're not going to erase my history, honey. So I decided to do a term report because, so I decided to do the term report because I said, I'm telling my story, okay? So they'll never be able to say, they did this, they did that, I did this. So when I came into office, I had a plan. That's when you ask people, what's your plan? Okay? Y'all should have asked before y'all pushed their ballot. But when they come back around here, can I have a copy of your plan? So you can see if they living up to the plan. So these was my plan, and this is when I accomplished those plans. Okay? I diversified the office, not just by race, but also by gender. I gave women, for the first time in Register of Wills history, put them in supervisory positions. You know? If we can run households, we can run businesses, we can run the world. Okay? That right there, that's the proof. Mm-hmm. This section right here, I put the financials. So they won't say I stole, I lost money. When I came in, you'll see $1.1 million deficit. When I'm leaving, we had a surplus of $1 million sent into the city. When you look at these bars right here, every year the city gives you projections, revenue goals. That first year, of course, it was COVID. So while everybody was home from the city and you couldn't get in contact with them, my office was open 3 weeks after the government shut down. As you can see, every year, the city projected, I matched it. The city projected, I exceeded it. Exceed. That's why I said we send them an extra $1 million. Okay? That's how I was able to fund, they said, because they couldn't stand me. Because like I said, I'm an elected activist. They hate the activist part. I was like, oh, well, that's me. But they could not deny my budget because I'm making the money, right? Remember I told you how much money we sent to the state? All right, I went all the way back 4 years when I came. So it was like they were sending $76,000 a year to the state. Last year I sent $107 million to the state. The year before that I sent $107 million to the state. The year before that, during the total government shutdown, $90 million to the state. The year there was total $63 million to the state. Every year it's increased. You know why? Because I'm educating people. That's right. Increase to the state by 37%. So I don't know what they talking about. We poor. I don't know the state can. Where's that money going anyway? That's the question. Where's that $107 million that's going? Because I ask them all the time, won't y'all send something back so we can get out of these tangled titles? But they don't answer my letter. But y'all fixing stuff. Y'all running, fixing the highways and stuff. Well, help us fix so we can own our properties. Okay? So I put my timeline. That's in the middle. Okay, that timeline. When I took my oath of office until I end. You see those QR codes? That first one up there, it talks about that Pew study. Read that study. Everything explains it. I proves everything. Okay? So y'all can go, and when you get a chance, read those QR codes. And when they come back and they ask for your vote, say, do you have a term report? And they're going to be like, huh? What? Cause yeah. The one, like, register. Because they're going to start copping. They can. Show us what you're doing for us. You know? Because remember, you on my dime. Don't let them waltz in here like, ooh, I'm tickled. Y'all got a genuflect? No, you work for me. You know? Because they always give you the promises. And then every year, I always be like, told you. I used to tell my grandmother, told you. You know, when Michael Nutter was in there, he put his daughter on a commercial, and everybody was like, "Oh, she's so cute." Ask them, where's your term report? What have you done for us? Tangled titles, it breaks it down, my QR. Instead of the two maps, I gave you the map of the tangled title. See that red map? That's where the prime is. My probate deferment initiative, demand that it stays. I don't care if they change the name of it. Demand that it stays. It's working. Today, I just signed 2 or 3 more. People have been calling me like mad. You still can call me because I'm at the end. I'm going to tell y'all, take your cell phones out, and I'm going to give you my cell phone. But Brother Isaiah has my cell phone number. And by the way, give Brother Isaiah a clap. I knew him for years. And when I lost... I needed a transition team. I needed support. Because, once you lose, they get new on you, right? And I'm telling you, I brought him in, and he's helped me, be able to transition out. And he has my cell phone number. And I want you to shout out to my staff, too. You see that young lady right there, Tatiana? See Tatiana? Tatiana came in. She just came, I think, a little over a year. You've been here. She put this book together. She does all the pictures. She does all my flyers. And she does it. She comes out at night. She does it with a smile. She's one of the best workers. And just like the minister said, we don't hate people. We love people, regardless of their color. We judge them by the content of their character. Okay? Yes. Vanessa, former... No one didn't want to hire her, right? You know Vanessa Brown. I didn't care. I hired her. I was in the front page of the newspaper. She hired Vanessa Brown. Yeah, I hired her. Okay? Because everybody can make a mistake. When they make mistakes, they all get rehired and everything. Sue me, okay? I hired her. Okay? I don't care. No comment. Please. Crazy. And Keith Harris, that's my bodyguard back there right there. I'll tell you this. The reason why I didn't get reelected is because the elected official ward leaders allowed Bob Brady to say, don't elect her, so they didn't put me on no ballots. Out of all the ward leaders in the city, Keith Harris stood up and said, this is not right, because they always support their incumbents. And that man right there, may even cost him his job. He stood up for a sister. and him only. And that's why I lost. Because I wasn't on the ballot and they didn't know I won. But I only lost, he always said, you didn't really live. I lost by 1% because I didn't have no money, because I didn't spend time raising money and get money from developers. I was working for you all. I don't want blood money. I don't want blood money. I'm good. Allah's going to take care of me. He been taking care of me. Paid my last mortgage payment in a couple weeks. Can't take my house. Don't tell nobody that, because they be hating and stuff, like send a storm over there to blow that roof off their own home. Lord, woo, the hate, self-hate. That's what the minister said. We self-implode. We talking about they hate. No, we hate each other. We're jealous. We coveted each other's stuff. You can't say, oh, you look nice. You want to, how much that cost? What difference does it make? I look nice? Why is you always hating on me? I thought you was broke. Maybe I am broke, but doggone, I'm buying these diamond earrings. I don't care. Okay? I'm going to be broke and sharp. Like people be hating. It's just unbelievable. And like the most hate I got, and I'm going to tell y'all this right now. The most hate I got is from black folks. From black folks. The elected officials. Most of them. Okay? So also one of the things that's really near and dear to me that I've done is I took the time to preserve the archives. So I got a company called CoFile, and they are preserving the archives into perpetuity, and you should see these handwritten wills. So I always say, and I was telling Wazir, I said, when did it become that we didn't understand that we needed to make the will to protect our property, when the forefathers of this country, they were making wills, and I had proof of it. Okay? Black folks was making wills because, so when did, in modern day times, because they dumbed us down in the schools. They dumbed us down in school. And I'm like, what? I just went to Temple University, my alma mater, and I was like, I need to teach a course in here, and this is how I slid it. I said, because the realtors, I said the realtors, like I went to realtors and said, the realtors need to know how to untangle those titles so they can sell the property. But it's true, because we got black realtors, and a person will call and say, I want to sell my mom's house on it, and then he's like, okay, you own it? Yeah, that's my mom's property. It's still a mom name. You can't sell it. It stops it. So I'm going to teach realtors how to navigate the system. And matter of fact, let me tell you what else I just did and doing. I'm making a documentary. It's going to be released after I'm out of office, and it's going to say how to navigate the office. You know what I mean? So if somebody died and they don't know, y'all can be like, look at the documentary. So it's going to be released after I'm the registrar of will, but it's being done while I'm the director of will. Wink, wink. Yeah. And then also this last page, I put the 8 components of a will so you can write your notes down and stuff like that. Go home in the weekend, write your will, and then get to an attorney and say, is that okay? But if you can't get to an attorney, you could text me, text Wazir. There are attorneys that will do it. Minister Rodney knows attorneys that will do it, but you can write your own will. If you got one house and one child, you do all this with your 2 witnesses, and that's your will, and you don't have to go to an attorney. But I just feel like when you do go to an attorney and they say, well, who's your executor? You know what an executor is, right? And then you're going to say, well, who's your witnesses? You already said, oh, yeah, my sister and my aunt going to be my witnesses. And, do you have a notary? Yeah, my uncle's a notary. You know what I mean? And so you'll know. I don't want you to just go make a will. I want you to know what the will is, And so I was going to be able to tell you that I have a radio program on 107.9, 7:30 in the morning, but I did my last episode. But you can go on any podcast We'll also send you the link. Roger, is Roger's here or did he dash away? I figured. Well, Roger sent the minister the link to our podcast. You can go on I'm on Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. I did all kinds of skits, Register Reacts. You can Google that on YouTube, put Register Reacts. And I took pop media culture and I did like little skits. So I became a little actress. Like, for instance, in Soul Food, remember when Terry was going around with the knife, around that table? So I didn't say, well, you can't be talking about it. And I'll tell you the do's and don'ts. So I took movies and did that, Register React. So you can find me on YouTube. Right now you can go on hashtag PHLROW, Philadelphia Register Will. But I think by the second, they might wipe that slate clean. So here's my Instagram. I'm Tracey Gordan on Facebook, but my Instagram is Southwest_Tracey. I live in Southwest Philly. Southwest_Tracey. And here's my cell phone number. Please text me. Don't call, text. Huh? Oh, yeah, because if you put Tracy, it's Tracy with an E. So it's Southwest_Tracey. That's Instagram. I always post pictures of my granddaughter. Y'all know Yum Yum. Most of y'all know I love my grandchild. But I'm still going to be an activist on there. And then also 267-235-0091. I've had that phone number for 20 years. I did not change my phone number. I did not get new. I will not answer it because I'm busy, but I will return your call. This text. Say, this is so-and-so Tangle Title. This is so-and-so Will. This is so-and-so, whatever you want, anything you want with the city, I will try to help you all. 267-235-0091. Again, that probate deferment initiative, all those numbers is on there. Her name is Monique Jordan. She is awesome. It's in this book. She is awesome. And during the COVID, I was featured in the New York Times. We married 600 people virtually. Yeah. And that's in that article's right there. I could take a few questions if y'all have questions.
I got one.
Yes.
Can you help me with, is that other mic working? I just want them to hear. Governor Shapiro has he's supposed to have signed something to help people with burial insurance. So I've tried to go on the website and try to call someone. They want me to fill out a question. I said, I'm not trying to get buried. I'm trying to find out
the information
how
for
we
the
get
people.
It for people for the state of Pennsylvania.
Vanessa, you hear about that bill?
So you have to be on public assistance? No, this is.
We're going to look it up.
All right.
We'll look it up. And Vanessa,
Okay.
we'll look at it. Wazir, I know you. We'll look at it up tomorrow.
Okay.
Okay. Next question. Yes. And then you.
If you have a will,
Yes.
and if you have a will, and you wanted to make changes to it, can you do it Can you handwrite it? In the
Yes, you actually can. You can change your will, handwrite it, but I always recommend that you consult with an attorney. Because you could cross it out. Just consult with an attorney. I wouldn't try it. I wouldn't try it myself, but there is a way that you can do updates. But consult with an attorney. And if it's your will, you're a senior, you can take the old will, and they will help you make the changes for it. The Senior Law Center, for free, as long as you're 60 years old and older. But you can change your will and initial it, but just make sure with an attorney, because I'm not an attorney. Yes, sir.
I'll be going with you.
You mentioned Philadelphia, there's a lot of row homes. So if you do come into ownership of a property, you mentioned the grants for home improvements.
Yes.
Because there's certain parts, like these alleyways in the back, being told the city.
The city is doing that now.
Yeah, they're putting it on the owners of the home.
No, yes, they do. But they have a program out there. They're cleaning out alleyways for free now. They just hired a whole bunch of people. Text me.
Is there a web? Okay.
Text me
Okay.
or email me, tracy.gordon@phila.gov. But text me about that, and then I'll make sure somebody. They're doing it right now. They're doing it. So if y'all got any tree stumps or the alleyway is all messed up, but once they clean it up, y'all organize for them not to do it, because you know that one trifling neighbor is gonna say, "Oh, it's clean. Let me throw my old couch and stuff out there." That's why I'm still a block captain on my block, because I will 3-1 you in a minute.
One more question.
Yes.
What do you feel about property transfer while the person is living?
It depends.
'Cause there's
Now,
a
here's the
tax.
question that I get all the time. What do I feel about, which is a good question, you adding somebody on your deed? Like, I only got one child. I don't want to have to go through probate. I don't want to have to pay inheritance tax and stuff like that. So I want to add her on my title. Yeah, you can, but I think you should understand this. Once you put somebody on your title, they own the property. And you can't be like, get off, they own it. And then also, if they marry or get married, that spouse owns the property because they're a spouse. So, I mean, a little bit of estate tax or somebody owning your property. And when you put somebody on your title, you take the credit too. So, if you want to get basic system repair grant, it's two owners, they want both your incomes. You can't just say my income. So when they look at the title, they're going to want your income and that other person's income, which probably is going to disqualify you. I'm not saying not to do it. I'm just saying understand the consequences, or understand the good and the bad. And so what I'm saying is talk to an attorney. And if you're trying to get out of paying inheritance taxes, go talk to your attorney. He'll tell you how to do all this stuff you want to do. You know what I mean? Yes. If they agree. You think they're going to say, okay, mama? They're going to say, no, I own it. Once you put them on there, they got to agree to be taken off it. Did they agree? Oh, well, then that's good. Lucky you. Give her a hand. Because if I was him, I'd be like, nah, pay me. I'd be like, no, well, you pay me my half. But no, but that's good. But you see, you shouldn't have had them on, you know what I mean? Or sometimes if you get married and both of your names is on the deed, wait a minute, both of your names on the deed, and then you'll say, well, we've been separated for, I hear this all the time, we've been separated for 30 years, he ain't paid no mortgage. Don't matter. He own it. Oh, she own it, yes. I don't want to make it seem like the brothers is all shacking up with the women.
One, thank you for coming. The information was invaluable, a solid goal. Number two, the basic system repair for home ownership is that income driven.
Yeah, but it's not like you got to be dirt poor. It's working class and moderate. Yep. You don't have to be dirt poor. You know what I mean? Yes. You could just text me and I'll send you the information. Okay?
Once again, Sister Gordon, I listen to your program on Sunday mornings. You've been doing a fantastic job.
Thank you.
And it's so informative, especially in our community. In the case of a tangled title, mother died, 5 siblings. One of the siblings lived in the house. Now the other siblings are going to sell the house without that person's consent and tell them to get out.
They don't have to have this consent because without the will, each of them have an ownership right. So
Yes.
it's 1/5, 1/5, 1/5, 1/5, 1/5.
Right.
If they don't buy him out or her out, then they can sell the property. That's the problem.
Yes.
Yeah, because the parent might have wanted that one child to have it,
Yes.
but didn't leave a will. So how many of y'all think them other siblings be like, okay, yeah, you can have it? They're not going to do it. They're going to be like, oh, look, I want my 1/5. We're going to sell it, and there's nothing you can do about it.
So the 1/5 must be prior to the sale or after? Does it matter? Does
You
the
own
tenant
the-
have a right?
First of all, in order for them to sell the property,
Yes.
Well, they got to come and probate it first, because
Yeah.
they got to get access to the title.
Does all the siblings have to be in agreement on the probate?
No, the majority.
I see.
The majority, because one sibling can come and say, I want to be the administrator.
Yes.
But the more, the better. So if all four of them agree that one of them is going to be the administrator, they still got to come through and do all the paperwork and all that. And then once they get the, sorry, I'm going to say right. Once they get, and you know what, this is sad. But this is the law. Remember I said it's two wills? The one you make and the one the state make. That's the law. So mom didn't leave a will. One child is in the house. And it's four other siblings. So that one child, she's renting. She should be paying rent to them. Okay? And they all have their stakes. So they all, even one of them can go down and say, I want to open an estate. And then they're going to ask you, show proof. Here, take these renunciations and get them to sign off on it, right? And they want to see that you sent certified mail to them, right? So then if they say, I ain't signing nothing or whatever, then a couple of them sign or nobody don't sign, then you're going to come back in front of the register and say, here's proof that I sent it. And they wouldn't sign it, and they not showing up for court. And then the register going to say, okay, then you be the administrator. And then once they get that paperwork, they can go with the paperwork to a realtor and sell the property right from under the sibling that's living there. It may sound harsh. It may be mean. It may be whatever. But without the will, then y'all all equally own it. And say, for instance, it's 5 kids and one died and he has 5 kids. Them 5 kids get the 1/5 for that. And the person that's the administration is legally responsible to distribute their wealth. And it's a penalty when you don't. Okay? So I know that's harsh. I mean, I hear you, but that's why I'm telling you to make the will so your family won't have to go through the ugliness. Okay? That's why you need to teach everybody this.
So in other words, the probate is first, and then they can sell.
Yeah, they can't sell.
Can't sell without going through probate, correct?
How you gonna sell it? You don't own it.
Right, that's what I
How you gonna sell it? It's still in the dead person name. You can't sell it. You gotta probate it. You gotta have that short certificate. Yes. You gonna go with him? We already know. We got that on. We got that on camera. You know what I mean? You taking her? I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Mm-hmm.
But down, the family that found out that she had a reverse mortgage.
The worst thing to get, and I just found out that those many people get them reverse mortgages because they be gambling. No, somebody just told me that. I'm like, who would get a reverse mortgage? And they like, they want the money so they can gamble. Okay, I'm not saying that's the case with you. Okay, I'm just saying that that's, I was talking to the lady in fair housing. You got to bring Angela MacGyver here to talk about the fair housing thing. But what I'm saying is, some people don't even know that mom took a reverse mortgage, which means more than likely by the time she died, you're going to have to buy that mortgage, buy the whoever that lender out, and most people can't afford to buy it, and they lose the home. I don't even know how they allowed them to come in this town to sell. Who was that person? I can't stand him there. Was it Shatner? Reverse with the commercials and stuff. Oh, I can't stand him. That reverse mortgage, don't do it. Don't do it. But that's why they're doing it. Mom, you need help? Here, let me help you. Or mom say, baby, you the only one I'm gonna leave you. Her mom, I don't want to hear it. I need you to write a will. If you want me to have anything, leave. I'm not fighting with them. Dad, you want me to have it? Leave the will. Okay? You don't have no money? Oh, the seniors do it for free. Come on. You don't even have to come out the house. You call the hotline. They do it all over there. Or say it didn't, because it's going to be a mess. Yes, sir.
The legal aspects of wills different from state to state.
Absolutely. I'm talking about Pennsylvania here, guys.
Okay.
Because everybody say register a will, so they think when they get the will, they come down and register it. No, I don't see it until you die. However, in the state of Maryland, you register your will. In Atlanta, Georgia, Georgia is an option. I don't know why Pennsylvania did it, but I was going to try to if I was elected another term. But I'll see y'all back in 4 years or so. You know what I mean?
And I have one more
Yes.
question. My last question is with regards to deeds. Can you speak to the difference between deeds in terms of responsibility, financial responsibility, and then ownership?
Okay, so the recorder deed is different from the register of wills. The deed is when the owner's name is on there, right? So I don't know much about the laws surrounding deeds. I know that it's a different office. And I know when you want to add somebody's name on your deed or you want to change something on your deed, you need to talk to a professional, people that deal with deeds or attorney. Because that's how a lot of people mess up their deeds and because they be trying to do it themselves.
So the deed gives you ownership but not financial responsibility. In other words, you can own a property, but if the property has a mortgage, the person that you add to the deed is not on a mortgage. They don't have financial responsibility.
Right, it's not they don't own it.
They own it, but
How do they
not
own
financial
it?
responsibility.
How do they own it without their name on the deed?
So they do. I guess the question.
How
is,
do you own it without your name on the deed?
You know, with your name on the deed, but you're not responsible for the mortgage, is what I'm saying.
How? How? If your name is on the deed and there's a mortgage, then it's your mortgage.
Yeah, it may be different in New Jersey. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe so. But in Pennsylvania, I don't know. Shh.
If you ever wanted to sell the property, the deed will come up. So, okay, it was a mortgage on this property that you purchased because you didn't have title insurance. So that's how that can happen. It can be a mortgage in somebody else's name, but if you didn't do the due diligence to do the title insurance, it can be a lien on it. Now they can't foreclose on the property. You can live in there indefinitely. But if you die and the next of kin get it, or you sell a property, that debt going to come up, and that's going to have to be paid off.
All right, thank you, Keith. Keith know all about them deeds and stuff. Yes.
Yes, I want to know, is there a way of getting around paying inheritance tax on a house that was transferred? You know, so let's say that a parent transfers a house to their child, and within 6 months of the transfer, the parent dies. Does the child have to pay inheritance tax knowing that that parent died within 6 months of the transfer?
Yeah.
Because it was assumed that the parent was going to.
You still have to pay inheritance tax,
Okay.
and it's not much because it's only based on how much the house is worth. So, say for instance, that's why I wanted y'all to go through this program, because these lawyers will get the Department of Revenue to waive the interest and penalties, and then you only have to pay based on how much the house was owned. But if it's a child, the further it goes down.
30 years ago. So it was what the house was worth at that time,
Yes.
30 years ago.
Yes.
Times that whatever percent. times
Yes.
30 years.
Yes. So 30 years ago, the house price was $5,000.
Right,
And
cheap.
then it's like 1.3% of that. You can afford that.
Yes.
Only thing, and this is what I'm telling you that I tried to get in touch with the governor about, is because this is another thing that's been happening. Like, when was they going to tell the descendants of the house that after 9 months, if you don't pay inheritance tax,
Right.
interest and penalty accrues? Okay, so when was a letter gonna come to you? Because you don't know, you think you automatically inherited the house.
That's what
You
they
think it's an automatic transfer of wealth. You don't know that it's not until you go to sell it. You say, oh, I don't own it. You go to try to get the basic system repair. Oh, I can't get it, I don't own it. You try to get a home equity loan so you can send your kid to college. Oh, you don't own it. And that's 30 years you've been living in there. So it's interest and penalties that accrue on there, but you can negotiate that from the state and say, listen, I didn't know. Can you, what they've been doing was getting them to waive the interest and penalty, and then you just pay just how much it was worth 30 years ago. If that you have that decay, send that to me so I can get some attorneys to help you. This is what I was telling you about the governor. Why aren't these in the government agencies working together? Say, for instance, when you die, the bank gets that from the Department of Vital Statistics. The bank already know you died, so that's why you can't go in there and get the money out, because the bank is like, oh no, so-and-so is dead. So the bank automatically gets the names of when somebody died through the Social Security number, right? So how come the Register of Wills don't get a notification of anybody that died that owns property? So you could either say, send a letter to the estate of the property, hey, you have to come down here and take care of the business. Because if you don't pay, if you pay inheritance tax 3 months before, it's like a 5% interest. That's why rich people come do it quick, because they get the you get a 5% discount. Now, after 9 months, I'm asking, how is the government allowed to tax you interest and penalties without notification? Without notification. That's the problem. And how come they haven't notified? How come people been living in these single titles 10, 15, 20, 30 years and nobody never knew? Because you don't know. You don't know nothing about no register. First of all, most people didn't even know the Register of Wills office existed until I got in there. Most people didn't even know. My predecessor was there for 40 years, 10 terms. 80% of the people that worked there came from one ward, and it was a patronage haven. It's who you knew. Now, I'm not against nepotism. I'm not against patronage, but you gotta work when you work with me. I know you my niece, but you gotta be on time. You gotta work, or you gonna get the penalty. You know what I mean? Because this is not my money. This is your money, okay? 40 years. Did anybody ever come to this mosque? That's why I created the outreach department, and you all can demand that outreach department still stands. You could demand that. Yes.
So, thank you. A lot of valuable information
Thank you.
tonight. In line with the question on the inheritance tax that you have to pay for the houses, do you also have to pay taxes if that person had money in the bank? Do you have to pay taxes on that as part of the inheritance tax?
Yeah, because the inheritance tax is based on the accumulation of the assets. You know,
Okay.
the accumulation of the assets.
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify
Yeah,
that because I
yeah.
heard you say property. But it
Well,
also
no, it's
includes
everything. Like,
everything.
that's why people, you just give an estimate. Like, if she got a Rembrandt painting, do you want to say I got a Rembrandt? You know what I mean? It's an estimate. So, and when it gets technical, this, hey, listen, if you can afford those red bottom shoes, you can afford to hire an attorney, $250 to make you a will. Or if you don't have $250, say, look, I'm gonna give you $50 a month, okay? And in 5 months, you'll have $250. I'm just saying that we can afford stuff when we want to afford it. That trip to the Bahamas and all that. That's your insurance. So your family won't be going through this kind of stuff. 30 years, and it is. That sister's right. It's people that's been living in these houses for 20 and 30 years. That's why you see those abandoned houses and those abandoned lots, which, by the way, now they worth all this money. Now, when we was there getting redlined to death, that's the ghetto. Oh, they ain't the ghetto no more. They putting all them 5-story buildings. They tearing down them houses, which is affecting the infrastructure. And because in New York, what they do is, why you have to have insurance? They need to make the developer have insurance. So if they tear that property down and your house collapse, then they need to have the insurance, not you. It's just hell in this city right now. I'm telling you right now. And I always say, the affordable house is the one your family owns. If you get chance, you don't have to live here. Don't sell your property right now. Just wait. Rent it or, whatever. Don't sell it. It's going to be worth a lot more in 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. You know what I mean? And listen, you was like, this is what I say. The reason why my neighborhood, where I live, is so beautiful because I became the block captain. I don't care. I'm telling Okay, selling drugs on my block, 9 wizzy. I'm not playing because I'm not going to have no gunfire and gunshots and all that stuff around me. You know, they always be saying, oh, and they blame me for everything. When Ella, she called, look on the back of the page. See, it says City of Philadelphia. Sue them, okay? You know what I mean? Because I don't call for every old thing, but if it's going to affect my quality of life, my peace of mind, 911 or 311, get down and lay down, because you're not going to mess up you're not running me out of my block. You know what I mean? So, and by the way, you're welcome, because I did sweep in front of your house. That's how I do them. And I be sweeping in front of their house, and they'll come out and thank you, Tracey. And I'm like, don't thank me to sweep in front of your house. That's how I do it. I still clean in front of their house and stuff. They have to call me. The next door neighbor's son is bouncing the ball all night. So now I got to be the bad guy, which I will. But then, and I asked them to stand up for me. Then I got to deal with the threats. Luckily, my kids could fight back in the day. I taught my kids how to fight. You know what I mean? Only letting people beat you up and all that. Paul Val's talking about, oh, if somebody hits you, don't hit them back. No, hit them back. They used to come, I got suspended. I said, for what? They said, for fighting. I said, who won? They said, I did. I said, okay, we'll talk to the principal tomorrow. No, my kid ain't gonna be the punching bag, because I used to be a teacher, and them bullies the teacher will be like, get out of here, and they be tearing your child up. All that turn of a cheek, please don't encourage that. No, I'm all off the subject and everything. No, because I can't stand bullies. You're not gonna be beating up on my kid, okay? No, we're gonna call the mom in here, something. Yes.
Yes, ma'am. The information packets that you have are wonderful.
Thank you.
But what I want to know is that, can we get the presentation?
Yeah, I just said that I'm sitting.
Video this tonight?
Yes.
Praise
I don't know
be
about
to
tonight,
Allah.
because it's not my video, but you're going to have that presentation.
Okay.
Yeah, we're going to send a link to you.
We'll have it.
Yes,
All right,
yes.
thank
He'll
you.
have that by tomorrow morning. And we're going to send him all the link to all these flyers, so you can send them out to your family member. Just to, hide your name so they'll be able to read it. Yes.
$500,000 homes. She paid back in the 60s
taxes.
like $4,000.
Yep, the taxes.
But after a while, she ain't gonna be able to stay there because of the taxes. And you say stay there.
Well, I'll tell you this. A developer, his name is Ori Fiber. She had ran for office before, but he told me that the council person have the power to freeze your taxes not till you die, until it's sold. They have the power to do that. They're just not doing that. So that's what you ask these new council people. Why can't you freeze our taxes? And as long as our families stay in the house, now if y'all sell it, then that's different. But as long as it stays in a family house, or else you're right, you're not going to be able to afford to live there. You know what I mean? Because it's almost as if they're telling you to start paying a mortgage again. You hear me? Because, all right, so my mortgage is done now, but every time you turn around, the taxes is going up. You know what I mean? And so when you buy a house, make sure when two things they said a realtor should tell you when you're buying a house. Because even though you get the fixed rate, right? And you say, well, this is what your mortgage is going to be. Maybe. Because if taxes go up, your mortgage is going to be higher. They should let you know that. Or if they don't have the homestead exemption. So that's what we should be demanding. That's why they don't want me in office. But that's what we should be demanding. Say, if you want our vote, I want y'all to put a freeze on the indigenous people taxes. They can write it in law, and it could say that taxes will freeze at it. Your taxes should be how much your house was worth when you bought it, not how much it's worth at market rate now. So if I bought my house for $45,000 when I did, then that's what it should be taxed on, not sure what your BRT saying. And I'm telling you, we have the power to do that, but we're scared, not informed, and we don't come together. And that should be the thing now. And we should. I used to go to protests and all that kind of stuff. We got to do it together because they're slick. They bring the turkeys. They bring the boogie woogie parties and all that. I was like, nah, I don't need them coats. I don't need your turkeys. I can fry my own fish. I don't need none of that stuff. I need laws that's going to help protect us. See, the dangerous part about it is when I'm out of office, I can say what I want. You know, I still have to be diplomatic when I'm the Register of Wills. But I'm trying to tell you all this. They can do it. Council and the mayor, they can do it. How about y'all freeze? How about we only tax on how much we bought the house for, not how much the house is worth down that the gentrifiers are here, because the gentrifiers can afford it. And let me tell you, my son's taxes went up. Taxes is going up every year now, and nobody's saying nothing. And they talking about, well, we can't, the BRT. Well, then we're going to elect somebody else since you don't know how to do it. They can do it. They can pass legislation to protect the little bit of us that's left in the city and say that we should only be taxed on how much the house was worth when we bought the house, not how much is accrued. Because guess what? Nobody even mentioned this. That 10-year tax abatement, it's been 40 years now. It's been that 10-year tax, and guess what they do? They'll sell it to their husband, and then they get another 10-year tax. Then they'll sell it to somebody else, and they get another 10-year tax. Then they sell. So it ended up being, so they're never paying taxes, which is the reason why our houses, a reason why our schools is a hot mess. I'm telling you guys, you know, it was a Boston Tea Party for some reason. It was about taxes, okay? They was tired of being taxed. When we gonna stop? When we gonna be tired of being taxed? You know, but they got us all docile, eating the fish fry and the chicken and all that kind of stuff. And come on, y'all, we're gonna do the marches. No, I don't want no march. I want legislation. No, I don't want no fish fry. I cook my own fish. See, I don't need this toys. The toys be broke in a week. I need her to have somewhere to play with them toys. What good is it if she have toys and don't have a house to live in? What good is it to have fish fry and then you gotta go? Like where we gonna live, guys? Philly is all I know. Where are we going? Back down south? South is high now too. Y'all been to Hotlanta? You see how much you know? And they said, by the way, the Philadelphia, Southwest Philly, is where you could actually buy a property at, you know, what we would consider affordable. How in the world is $300,000 affordable?
Come on.
Where you gotta work for that? Like, do the numbers. How is 300? And the way they building them houses now, they cheap. And no basements, aluminum siding. We have brick. You know what I mean? We have basements. We have masonry. Now you can just punch your hands. That don't get mad with your kids and throw the shoe at them. It's going to stick right through that wall, as opposed to ricocheting off that cement wall and busting them in the head. I'm just saying that they trying to get us out of here. They trying to get us out of here. That's it. And I ain't trying to scare y'all. Look around and see where your neighbors is. If that old Miss Mary, she don't have nobody, let her sign it over to you. Or, you know, leave it to you or something. Yes.
Tracy, thank you so much.
You're welcome. This is the last? Okay.
I'm scared of the 2026, the 250th anniversary of the United States of America and the 2035 plan.
Yep, Philadelphia2035.org. Look it up
Serious business.
and put that pointer
It's serious
where
business.
you live,
That's
and
right.
they already planned already. Philadelphia, the whole word, 2035.org. I went to every meeting. I planned in my meeting, and honey, the only way it's not in our favor.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yep, and then
better pay
250 is coming up. PA 250 is coming up. They trying to get us out. They want us to be
2026.
either renters or in jail.
Exactly. Thank you. Thank
Renters
you.
or in jail.
Thank you so much.
All right, thank you all.
Put your hands together. Put your hands together. The Honorable Tracey L. Gordan. Come on, put your hands together. Let's show us some love. Did you learn something?
Yes, sir.
Huh? So we gonna have a PowerPoint, right?
PowerPoint, y'all got my cell phone, text me only. Y'all gonna have all these flyers. Y'all got those packages. Take screenshot them, send it to your relatives. Anybody you know in Tango Titles, please tell them to call me immediately. And when the politicians come around, when they come around, ask them, what are you doing about the Tango Title? And we want y'all to freeze the taxes, so we should be taxed on how much we paid how much we paid for the house. Because now they're gonna tax us out of here. You know?
Oh man.
Thank you.
All right, all right. Let's put your hands together again. Register of Wills, Honorable Tracey L. Gordan. We're gonna add, we're gonna ask them to just pass the receptacles. We're asking for a donation tonight. Whatever God has put in your heart, you just put it right into the receptacles that are coming down the aisle. Brother Jack and them are coming up. We want to thank her again. I mean, this is some serious information. We're gonna still have to process this and talk about this because we got to live somewhere. Okay. Oh yes, I I was reading it.
And guys, I can come back later another time too.
At another time, we're gonna. You like to have her back, right? We got to talk. I know everybody's going home to look at the paperwork now. Yeah.
Make a discussion, guys. Make it a discussion. Because we each one teach one.
Yeah, I met Mr. Sabatino early on. He came up to my wife and I to ask for our support. We told him we were supporting Tracey Gordan, and so he walked away from us. I know what they're getting ready to do. They're going to hit the mute button. As soon as she's gone, we're not going to hear nothing coming out of that office. So this was a good thing for us today. Let me tell you. And I'm going to get in touch with our office again. We're going to find out about this burial insurance. Passing the hat and GoFundMes are not necessary. You know, they got programs now right here in Pennsylvania to help us with this, with burial insurance, all right? One thing we know, we're not going to live forever. So we need to do something about that, yeah. But we learned a lot tonight. I want to remind everyone, I did announce that the Honorable Minister-Louis Farrakhan and the Nation of Islam have filed a lawsuit against the Anti-Defamation League and the Simon Wiesenthal Center for $4.8 billion. And there's, do we have that QR code is on the Final Call? Yeah, so every edition of the Final Call newspaper, you can just put your phone your phone up next to that Q code, and everything, the complaint and all the data comes in there. A lot of the supporting documents go all the way back to slavery. It goes back to the insurance companies that insured the slave ships that were bringing us back and forth. It goes back to the hardware stores that were selling the shackles. And you can see the shackles that were made for adults and those that were made for small children that were put in the holds of slave ships to be brought over here. And there are many other points of evidence, going all the way to what they did to Marcus Garvey, what they did to Booker T. Washington, and it just goes, the list just goes on, and it's horrifying. They asked for this, and we're ready to oblige them. And there's no way to deal effectively with this case without going all the way back, because we predate the people that started 6,000 years ago. So we have to take this all the way back, and the Honorable Minister-Louis-Farrakhan named every person of color on this planet, and the student enrollment teaches us that the original people's population on the planet Earth is 4,400,000,000. And so they were all called into this lawsuit. So this lawsuit is designed to benefit us, people of color, everywhere that we are on this planet, all the way to the Aborigines in Australia. So this is a global, the impact of this lawsuit has global reach. Some people say, well, why are we just focusing on these two groups? And remember, the minister said, we have never known the architecture of white supremacy. It has an architecture, and except you get to the root and expose light to the root of a plant, you can never get rid of it. So this is designed this way, and really it's the hand of God, because we never sat down and planned this. We're just following guidance that has started since the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said he stood up and declared our independence in 1930. So we thank you. We're going to ask everybody to stand with us for a prayer. And get a current, the current edition of the Final Call newspaper is out. You might want to pick up one on your way out. Just bow your heads with us and pray. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful. Praise belongs to Allah, the Lord of the worlds, the Beneficent, the Merciful. Master of the day of judgment, thee do we serve, thee do we beseech for aid. Guide us on the straight path, the path of those to whom thou hast bestowed favor, and not of those to whom wrath is brought down, nor those who go astray. Say he, Allah is one, Allah is he upon whom we all depend. He neither begets nor is he begotten, and there's none like him. And I bear witness that none or nothing deserves to be served or worshipped besides Allah, and I bear witness that Muhammad is indeed his servant and messenger. Amen. Thank you again. Thank you again. You're welcome to be out with us this Sunday. Come on out. We're going to take you into the route of December the 25th under the Roman Empire.